learners, Algebra Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson. Today's lesson will be for solving equations involving radicals. And these could be very simple problems, something like this. Could be the square root of x equals 10. Well, I know some of you are going to go, easy, it's 100. You are right. But we have to understand what's going on so that we can do the more difficult ones. If you just always want to be stubborn or obstinate and say, I only want to do the way I know how to do it, then you will never learn to think outside of what you know. So we have to stop and consider, how do we undo that radical? Well, you can see that I'm using an exponent to do that. Yes, exponents undo rads or roots. All right, so since it's the second power, the positive square root, I am going to square each side. And when I square rad x, that's rad x times rad x. And you should know by now that that simply gives us an x. Now 10 times 10 would be 100. There you go. Why don't you try this one? We'll call it number 1a. And we'll do the square root of x equals, rad x equals 3. All right. You should know the answer. When we square each side, right, we're going to square this, we're going to square that, and we should end up with x equaling 9. Piece of cake. All right, let's look at one that gets a little bit more complicated. Well, we have something like the rad of x minus 5 equal to 20. This problem is the same problem as the one above it. I'm going to square both sides. This is not, I repeat, this is not, did I mention this is not a FOIL situation? I'm doing the rad of x minus 5 times the rad of x minus 5. That's what it means, x minus 5 times rad of x minus 5. And there you go. You know, a rad times an identical rad, the rads cancel out, and I'm left with an x minus 5. We'll go over to the hard side. 20 times 20 is 400. Am I done? Well, x is not alone, is it? So therefore, I'm not done. I will add 5 to each side. And then when I do that, I will get x equal to 405. Now, I should check my answer and make sure that it makes sense, make sure I don't get something strange. 405 minus 5 is 400. The rad of 400, what number times itself is 400? Well, 20. It works. Very good. All right. Let's move on to number 3 here. My number 3 example will be the rad of x minus 1 equal to x plus 2. Why don't you pause the video and see if you can do this one on your own? If you're still watching at this point, I assume you're ready to see me do it, and I'm warning you, I am going to make a mistake. You see if you can catch my mistake. I'm sure Andrew and Brendan will catch it. I'm going to get an x minus 1 on the left, and on the right, I'm going to get x squared plus 4. Did you catch it? Huh? What's that, Andrew? Yeah, I forgot to FOIL, didn't I? X plus 2, quantity squared, is a FOIL problem. That's the same as quantity of x plus 2 times the quantity of x plus 2, which is a FOIL problem, which ends up being x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now I'm going to subtract. I'm going to get it equal to 0 because I see I have a quadratic equation. And I'll add 1 to each side. And that will leave me with 0 equals x squared plus 3x plus 5. I know that can't be factored because I don't have 2 factors of 5 that add up to be 3. I'll try the quadratic formula on it. X is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 b squared. Sorry, I wrote b to the 9th, didn't I? Let me rewrite that part there. go. 3 squared minus 4a. Keep bumping the button, I'm sorry. C. And that whole thing is over to A. I check out my discriminant right here. This part right here, my discriminant. I know I'm going to get 9 minus 20. And 9 minus 20 is negative 11. There is no real solution to this problem. No real solution. All right, so this problem is done. Number 3 has no solution. Here's number 4. Hold on one second. It's going to be the rad of x minus 3, and that's got to equal x minus 3. Go ahead and pause it, see if you can do it on your own. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you my solution. I'm going to square both sides. The left-hand side will yield x minus 3. The right-hand side is a FOIL problem. I will get x squared minus 6x plus 9. All right. Let me see here. I'm going to need to subtract x from each side. I have to add 3 to each side. Left-hand side becomes 0. Right-hand side becomes x squared minus 7x plus 12. All right, I'm going to factor this one because I like 7. You know why I like 7 so much? Because I know factors of 12, and I know that 3 and 4 make 7. And x, I got a plus in the back, minus in the front, plus in the back. That's a Wendy's double stack. And I think 3 and 4 make 7. So therefore my solutions are x equals 3 or x equals 4. Now I'm going to check these answers and make sure they make sense. 3 or 4. If I put 3 in, I get 3 minus 3 is 0. Rad 0 is 0. Right? I'm looking right here. I'm going to get a 0. On the right-hand side, I'm going to get 3 minus 3, which is 0. So that checks. Let me back up a step. And now let me stick 4 in. If I put 4 in the other, I've got 4 minus 3 is 1. Rad 1 is 1. Over on the right-hand side, I do 4 minus 3, and sure enough, I get 1. Both answers check. I got no strange anomalies. This is a good one. One more, and then we're out of here. So let's go with number 5. Number 5. Okay, this time we have the rad of x squared plus 3x plus 10. And that has to equal x plus 2. Pretty involved equations you're solving here if you think about it. Okay, go ahead and pause it, see if you can do it on your own. And here's my solution if you're ready to see it. If not, go ahead and pause. Square both sides. Remembering the right-hand side is a FOIL problem, and I don't really have to think too much because I just had a problem like this earlier. Problem 2, I think it might have been. The left-hand side becomes x squared plus 3x plus 10. And I know this looks like a quadratic, but check this out. These x squareds are going to cancel each other out. If I must subtract x squared from each side, they're going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with 3x plus 10 equal to 4x plus 4. So it's actually a linear solution, a linear type problem. I'm going to subtract 3x from each side because I want all my x's on one side, all my non-x's on the other. And I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. So I'm going to get 6 equals x. All right, going to check my answer, make sure it works. 36 plus 18 plus 10. Well, I like that I didn't get a negative under there. By the way, over here, I'm going to have to get 6 plus 2. So I'm going to get 8 on the right-hand side. The left-hand side, let's see, 36 and 18 looks like it'd be 54. and then plus the 10 will be 64. Rad of 64 is definitely 8. This checks out. I am good. All right, that is your lesson for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. When you come in tomorrow, we'll have a little formative assessment and see what you can do. All right, Mr. Lawrence signing off. Good night, everybody.